Hey guys, PC Gamer here. I hope everybody has been doing fantastic. I thought we'd do something a bit different today. I'll go ahead and close our canopy before the AI fire their engines up. I thought we'd do something different today and go through how to start the DCS World A-10C. I know it was pretty difficult when I started DCS, looking at this cockpit as, a spaceship. I don't know what to do. So I thought I'd just walk you guys through a checklist that I use every time I go flying in the A-10C Warthog. And show you guys step by step how to go through it and what the procedures are. So, like I said, I'm using a checklist. This author does not have his name on the cover of this checklist, so I don't know who wrote this, but I'll try and find out and link his credit down in the description below, as well as if I can't find the original link to it, I'll put it in my Google Drive for y'all to download and use. It's very, very helpful. In fact, if you download it, you can actually walk through with me page by page of what we're going to do. Now, secondly, before we get started, as you can see, my mouse cursor is this yellow cross. Now, I don't know, depending on what your skill level is in DCS, maybe you're a pro and you just got it and you don't know how to start it up. I'm just going to go through really quick. So this is your selection interface, I guess you could say. This will select different switches, as you can see with the mouse button. And here, if you want to look around, press left Alt and C, and you can now look around with your mouse. You can scroll in with the scroll wheel and then scroll out is the zoom, and then if you press and hold your mouse wheel and move around, it kind of moves you left and right and up and down. This is very helpful for starting the A-10C, as some of these buttons are a bit hard to get just from the default view. And then if you want to get out of this, you just press Alt-C again and you're back to your selection mode. And if you want to reset your view, you can press numpad 5 and it will reset it. I also have Track IR 5 with the Track IR Clip Pro that I'll be using here today as well. Now, let's get on to the checklist. So we're on table of contents. We'll click on cockpit check, or page number 4. Throttles, we want to go off, so our throttles are not moving. They're behind the indents, are not moving with our controllers. Our speed brake lever, which is going to be right here, or our speed brake button basically, you want that to be in the center position. Flap lever, when you spawn in the hog, the flaps are all the way down by default, so we'll move that all the way down. This is our flap lever. APU, we want to make sure that our APU is off, which is this little switch right here. Our engine operate switches, which are these right above the APU, are on norm, and this has two different modes. So you have ignition forward, motor backwards, and norm is in the middle or standing straight up. EAC and radar altimeter, or EAC and radar altimeter. If you're using the mouse, you can press Alt-C, and you can kind of get down here just barely. You can make them out right there, but if I use Track IR, reset, if I use Track IR, if you have Track IR as well, but I'm going to use it, you can lean back and then you manipulate the mouse, and you can see that they're both off, like that. And then if I just press 5, it'll go back. So the radar altimeter and EAC are off. The APU generator is off. This is our power panel. Battery, no, skip one. APU generator is off. AC gen left and right, so our left generator switch. We go AC generator, we go left and right, now they're on. Battery on. This will power up a couple of things. Our inverter, which is almost left diagonal to the inverter, this is your emergency floodlights. We'll go ahead and turn that to standby. Now, we want to kind of reset our view here. Now that we have our inverter on, it powers more systems in the aircraft. If you come over here beneath these two white knobs and this emergency parking brake handle, I believe that's what that's called, I'm not 100% sure. This is your cockpit light indicators, or your cockpit test light indicators, and your fire detection system. You want to press this, and well, this is for, let me clear before I go on. You don't have to do this. It's kind of a realism thing. I like to do it because you never know what failures you're going to get in a multiplayer mission. You may spawn in with different systems on a hog failed, and it's a good idea to check these. So you just push and hold. The flap lever should illuminate red. These three lights on the dash should illuminate. You should obviously have the master caution. Every single light on your warning panel should light up. Excuse me. Your trim reset should light up, as well as your control surfaces lights back here should light up. And release it, and they all go out. And now your fire warning detection system. Here you want 3 of your handles all lit up, your master warning going off, and this flashing as well. Okay, we've done our signal lights and fire detection system. Next we'll test our fuel. So your fuel indicator is over here on the right side, this big dial that looks like almost a clock. This button here, you press and hold, and it should go to 5,900 or 5,900 total pounds, or around 6,000 I think is what the book says. And then you release it and it should go back to whatever you have in the tanks. You can use this to cycle how much fuel, or to see how much fuel you have in different tanks. Okay, oxygen supply, we'll come down here underneath our power panel. We usually turn the battery on. We want to turn our oxygen on, and then underneath that we want to press, this is the oxygen amount, or the amount of liquid oxygen indicator. You want to push and hold this. When it goes to 0 or goes past 0, it should go off on an alarm. There's the alarm, and it will reset when it comes back to 5. Now, we're done that. We need boost pumps and main and wing. We come over here underneath our landing gear lever. We'll turn our boost pumps main left and right on, boost pump wings left and right on. And that will conclude page 4 of the checklist. Okay, on page 5 of the checklist, before start. So the before start checklist, you want APU to start. We'll go ahead and turn that on. And you should immediately notice that these 2 gauges here on your engine gauge pack, basically, will start moving. This is the EGT, exhaust gas temperature, how hot this is getting. You don't want this to go above 8, I believe, or 750. And this is your APU percentage. I kind of think of it as fan percent. This should eventually go to 100%, and this should come down to about 450. So we will wait for those to complete before turning on our APU generator right here on our power panel. As you can see here, we're about, and there we go. Now we're up to 100, and this should come down, and we're safe to turn on our APU gen power. And now we have more power to the aircraft. CDU and EGI, or IGI as some like to call it, if you come down here to your computer control panel, which is this computer here, right back here there are 2 switches. As you can see, they're labeled CDU and EGI. We want to turn both of those on, and if you've done everything correctly, this should power up here in just 1 second. Just like that, and it will start a bit test and alignment. Now, radios, we have VHF, UHF, and the second VHF. We want to come down here to our radios, get my views set. I know it's a bit cockeyed here. Maybe that's a bit better. We'll try that. So this is the VHF radio 1. VHF stands for very high frequency radio. This is your UHF radio here, which you can communicate with other aircraft that are on. Say you have a convoy, you can communicate to the UHF radio as well as the VHF, and then VHF2. So what we want to do is these knobs here on the, or this knob here on the right, we want to turn to transmit, which as you can see is right there, TR. Which you can see right there is TR. We want to you want to right click that once, and it will go to TR. Now for your UHF, you want to come over here. So here's a dial we just messed with. You want to come over here, there's off. You want to right click it once, and it will turn on. And then we want to come down here to UHF2. This is the exact same radio, exact same dial. We just right click it once, and it will turn on. Now, I like to do this before I forget all the time. You can use the mouse and do this and kind of sneak. There's 12.4, or you can use track IR, which I'm going to use. And you can lean back, pause track IR, and then zoom in. And Batumi is 131.0. If you don't know how to find that, you can press F10, and this will bring up the map. You can click on Batumi, the little icon there, and as you can see here, ATC is 131.0. That shows all the information for the airport. To get back, you just press F1. Now, as you heard through the UHF radio, I had some wingman talking and communicating. So if you just change the channel, you won't hear that. So we've got our VHF radio set. Our seat is the next thing on the list. Right over here on the left, underneath your little video control panel, or recording control panel, this button here controls your seat up or down. You can also do basically the same thing with your view. Request engine start, so we'll bring up our VHF AM ATC menu. If you don't know how to bring this up, press escape, go to controls, and search for VHF AM. It should bring it up. We want to press F5 for ATC, and as you can see, everything else is colored out, and Batumi is lit up because we have that in our VHF. We want to press F1, and then we want to request startup.
Forward 1-1, request startup. Forward 1-1, Batumi, cleared for startup. Wind 270 at 3 meters per second.
Okay, he said 270 at 3. Oh, whoa, sorry. 270. So we want to put this, our heading bug. I like to do it. You don't have to. Here's 24, 25, 26, 27. So now I know exactly where the wind is coming from. And I'll mark it with that. Now, I forgot to mention something very important before I contacted ATC. There's a dial back here, right there. This dial may, if you contact the ground crew, it may be over here on intercom. You want this to be on VHF anytime you transmit on the VHF radio interface, which is this guy. Now we're cleared for startup. We want to change our master exterior light switch, which is basically a pinky switch right here. Well, not that one, but it's right here. If you don't know how to get to that, go to your controls and search for master exterior light switch and map it to something. I have mine mapped, so I've clicked it. And now I can come over here to my lighting control panel. I know it's kind of funky here to read. Let me try this one. There we go. And basically what that lets you do with the light master mode control, basically, I like to call it just a light mode, it allows you to turn on anti-collision. Because if you don't do that and you try to turn on anti-collision, it will actually do that, basically. It'll kind of force it back down when you select it. That's why they have that in the checklist. Now, position lights, which are right here, we want to flash, so we'll turn that on to flash. Now you should see that our green is flashing and our red is flashing as well. Now, next thing, we want to start our left engine. So we want to come down here. Note that you can't start both engines at one time. You have to wait for them to spool up. So what you want to do is press right Alt and Home, and that will move the left engine past the cutoff detent to idle. And now, as you can see, this engine is spooling up. And it's similar to like before. Here's our engine temperature in Celsius. So I believe that's Celsius. I'm not 100% sure, but this is our engine temperature, this is our engine percent, and this is our oil pressure. We want this will always hang right here, and then it should go up to, I'm not sure, it should go up to I think 60, I believe, somewhere in here at idle. But also another note is you don't want this to go up to obviously 900 or even 800. Now this is normal, but I want you to watch right here. See, we're hung right here, and now it'll spool up and come right about around 60. All this is saying, if you look down here on your lights, APU gen. What this is meaning is, because our engine is now powering this left generator, we have a lot of power going to the aircraft, and it's saying that you don't need your APU gen anymore. You can turn that off since you have other generators powering the aircraft. That's all that warning is saying. And then now what we'll do, now that it's all spooled up and ready, also check this box right here. This is the engine start cycle. You want to make sure this is extinguished before you start the next one, or the right engine. You want to press right Control and Home, and now as you can see, move this past the idle cutoff detent, and this right engine here will start spooling up. Now we won't get the warning that we did about the APU generator because ours is already off. So there you go. While that's spooling up, we'll go to the next page of the checklist. Here on page 6 of the checklist, before taxi, page 1 out of 2, or 1/2, our intercom selector should be on VHF. We'll go ahead and check that. That's what I was talking about earlier. It is. Our flaps, now since we have hydraulic pressure, which is right here, here's our hydro pressure. Since you only need one, or just a slowly rotating engine to power the hydraulics, now that they're operational, I'll go ahead and turn track IR on. And now they want us to cycle the flaps. So we will bring our flap lever up, and you want to watch this and make sure this comes all the way up. This is your flap indicator level, and it should indicate what notch the flaps are on, 10, 20, or 0. And you just want to cycle those back and forth. Next, you want to check your speed brakes. So you should have this mapped to some control like a joystick or something. You just want to look to the left and bring them all the way out, and then bring them all the way in, Make sure they seat all the way, and then we'll test our flight controls. So I usually do it while I'm I usually test the ailerons while I'm doing the speed brake, just as a fast thing. So here's a little tip. When you push the joystick to the left, it should be pointing towards the aileron that's pointed up. See that? See how your left aileron here is pointed up and our stick's pointing to it? So I kind of go by, that one should go up, that one should go down, and now if I move my stick over, that one should go up, that one should go down. So I kind of do it like this. That one should be up, that one should go down, that one should go up, that one should go down. Or you could just say up and down, up and down. And now we want to do, oh yes, the rudders. Put my feet up on my rudder pedals here. Sorry for the shaky camera. And as you can see there, they're kind of moving. They're kind of hard to see. There's one rudder. We have two on this aircraft. As you can see, there's the other one. They're moving. And it's extremely difficult to check the elevator control, so I usually get out. You can do that by pressing F2. And then as you can see, the elevators are working quite well. And I can double check the rudders and the ailerons. Now we'll jump back in here. The next thing we need to do is our yaw, pitch, SAS or SAS, which are these four switches down here. We want to turn these on. And then there's this selector switch here. You want to left click it first, and then turn all the switches back on. And then right click it, and it will turn them all back on. It's basically a channel switch, so left and right. And it resets them when you do that. And then you want to do your takeoff trim button. It sets it for takeoff trim, and you want to make sure that this lights up. And you may have to press it for a while before that lights up as well. Now, takeoff trim is set. Our countermeasure control panel. So we'll go ahead and turn this to standby. And let's see here, as required. So we'll go ahead and turn these on. And you want to do, ooh, it's loud. We want to go ahead and do a bit test on our radar. So as you can see, we just turned that to standby and all these on. Here's our radar, which is right there. It's denoted by RWR, or radar warning receiver, I believe is what that's called. If you right click and hold, there's a self-test right here, and you can release it. You just want to make sure that the lamps and audio are on, and it says self-test. Now, countermeasurement program, we may go over this in another video. You just want to make sure it's on the right program depending on your mission. Now, wait until the IGI INS is at 4.0.0.8, so come down here to computer control panel, and you want to see T equals 4.0.0.8. That means that your IGI is ready and aligned. You press your nav, this little button here that says nav, directly corresponds to it, and you come over here to your selection panel here, and you press IGI, and it should go with the green triangle over to IGI. Now this is being powered by the IGI, or the EGI if you prefer that. Nav mode select. So IGI steer point, this guy here, this is your steer point. You can change that if you like. Steering bars, which is up here, which is this switch right here, as required. We'll go ahead and turn that on. As you can see, our steering bars come up. IFFC or IFC test switch. We want to go ahead and turn this. We want to left click it once, which will put it in test mode. JTRS will turn on, and CICU, we'll go ahead and turn all of those on. Now, we want to come up here. I'm going to jump ahead of the checklist a little bit. You want to come up here and it says engage pre-flight bit. That's what we just turned on here. You just want to go ahead and press enter because you don't want to do all the rest of the checklist while that hasn't done, because that takes a bit. Now, left MFCD, we'll go ahead and turn on twice for day mode. Let those boot up. Standby altitude indicator, we will reset. So see it's caged, we need to uncage it. So you want to click when you see that scroll wheel. You want to click and then scroll down to where they align, and then release your click, and now it's uncaged. G meter, so up here, here's our G meter. You press this button and hold it to reset. Altimeter, we will get the QFE.
Pull up.
That's just this testing. I should say altitude. Yeah.
Altitude.
We will reset this whenever we get our QFE from ATC when we're ready to take off. Now then, we have our G meter, altimeter, MFCD, load all. You do not want to do this before you put bombs on the airplane. So if you're doing this in a multiplayer server and you're going to load up bombs from the ground crew, load those up before you do load all. It just makes it easier for you. So we'll go ahead and press load all since I'm not doing that. The little dots will disappear. When all the dots come back, you're ready to select other things. It's done basically. TGP switch, I believe we can just leave that off. So if you wanted to arm it and turn it on, you could just turn that on like that. You want to engage the IFFC or FC pre-flight bit. We've just done that, and it's just something to cut down on time instead of just sitting here staring at walls waiting for things. So it's done. We can go ahead and press enter to exit, and then use the data key. To use the selector key to come all the way down to exit. Close that, and then we just want to left click this once more to turn it on and out of test mode. And as you can see now, we're on the HUD, basically the HUD home page. Stick master mode. You should have this mapped to some control on your joystick, and just press it. We want this in nav mode. As you can see there, it says nav. It circles back through a couple of different things. Waypoint advance. So we'll come down here to our waypoint advance. Depending on your mission, it may be different. Currently it's on mission. I'll go ahead and turn this to flight plan, and it will change our waypoints basically. Check out those choppers. CDU waypoint page. So what we can do here, now that these dots are back, we'll go ahead and select the CDU. All this is a repeater. So this screen here is repeated up here, so you don't have to keep looking down. Now to bring up your let's see here, what does it say? Waypoint page, yeah. All you have to do is press function 3. It brings up your waypoint menu. And I like to do waypoint, so press this here. And you can put in whatever you want. I will just leave it there for now. Now, on the next page of the checklist, page 7, before taxi, page 2 of 2, altimeter alert. So if you wanted to change this, you press this guy. And as you see, 500 feet above ground level, it will sound. We'll type in 1,000. And as you can see there, right there, 1,000, and we'll press enter. Now we'll have a warning 1,000 feet above the ground to tell us to pull up. You can also set that to 0 if that pull up gets annoying. Now we want our left MFCD to the TAD page, and our right to the CDU, which we already are. Steer point switches on flight plan, we've already done that. TAD flight plan, we want to make sure that that's right, so we can bring this over and select our SOI, bring over to the sensor of interest here to our TAD, and make sure that the flight plan looks correct. You can change your data link, ownership ID, and the TAD flight members symbols, as well as your cursor slew rate on your own. We may go through that in another video. I'm just going to skip that for now. Dismiss weapon profiles. So here on your left MFCD, you press dismiss, and you would have all your bombs. You could set those up accordingly if we had any, but we don't. We only have the lightning targeting pod. Next, TGP laser code, we would change that if you wanted to. You can do that on your own. Latch, you can do that on your own. Missile control page. So if you want to do, it's kind of important. If you want to use AGMs, air-to-ground missiles, you need to turn EO on, and there will be a timer that comes up here, and it will start warming up before you use your AGMs, such as AGM 65s, I believe. I may be wrong on that, just AGMs. Now, ILS and TACAN, we want to get these set up. So ILS, here's TACAN, and ILS is right here. I know Batumi is 1.6 X-ray, so we'll get that dialed in. And we just want to turn this on and turn that up. Press the test button. And that green light should light up. I'm not sure why it's not. Anyway, it should light up. I'm not too sure why it's not lighting up. As you can hear, though, it's on and it's working. That may be some type of bug. Now, 1.0.3, you just kind of mouse over these and scroll wheel all the way down. And then turn this one on. I believe it's 1.10.3. Let's check. Yep, 1.10.3 on the ILS page. Jump back. This will eventually make some noise and we can turn it off just to make sure that it's working. Hear that? It's working. We'll go ahead and turn that off. Now we've got our TACAN and ILS set. APU gen is off. APU we'll go ahead and turn off. Now we want to turn on our EAC and radar altimeter. So once again, if you have track IR, this is the stuff that's under the throttle. Sorry about that, Joel. If you lean back, you could turn on your EAC and radar altimeter. They're both on. Now for the die-hard enthusiasts, you want to take your TISL, which is right here. right click it once, which will put it in the cage mode, and you want to test your G suit as well, and then that's just for the die-hard enthusiasts or realism enthusiasts. For the radar altimeter, it's already on. Our ladder is stowed. Takeoff speed, you want to set that accordingly to your weight. For me, it'll be no flap since we have absolutely nothing on board other than fuel. That's page 8 of the checklist. Now we'll come down to page 9, taxi. So nose wheel steering, you should have this mapped to something on your joystick. We'll go ahead and turn that on. As you can see, now a steering engaged little dialog box has popped up here. That means our rudders will directly influence the steering of the nose. We want to request taxi, so we'll bring up our ATC menus here again. Ready to taxi.
Forward 1-1. Request taxi to runway.
They should get back with us. Yeah. So we're clear to taxi. If they ever don't get back to you, just check and make sure this dial is on VHF, like I've said before. Check out that Huey. Okay, so we want to request our taxi. Our landing lights, or no, I'm sorry, our taxi lights we want to turn on, which is one left, one right click. So I always get those confused. That's landing lights. That's taxi lights. So you just want to right click it once for taxi. Nose wheel, or this is your anti-skid. You want to turn this on. And I like to test it, so turn it off. And it should throw the warning. Although it doesn't say to do that here, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. Brakes we want to check. We want our flaps at MVR, which will be up. We want to make sure our speed brakes are closed. I like to do this before I ever even move. Speed brakes are closed. Our canopy is closed. Now, as you can see, canopy unlocked. That's what it means by light out. You want to make sure the canopy light, unlocked light is out. Ejection seat is, we'll go ahead and arm it. It's this guy here. And as you can see, it takes out our last warning on our warning indicator panel. Before takeoff, we'll turn our position lights to steady, and we'll do a couple of other things. So now that you're up and running, this should definitely basically get you in a good position to go ahead and taxi out. We'll go ahead and end this video here, and in the next video we'll go over before takeoff and lineup checks. Until next time, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to comment and leave me some feedback down below, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.